Well, hello, hello, hello. Come on into the Rooted in Progress Stream Center. We have guests in here. We are so excited. Happy Juneteenth, first and foremost, to everybody. This is the inaugural episode of Rooted in Progress, the podcast. And I am so excited to bring this to our community. I am your host, Deanne King, the man with the plan, the vision, who's behind everything. It's Mr. Terrence Middlebrooks. My co-host. Don't get beside yourself.
Wow, everything. You hear that? Everything, people. Yeah.
Terrence, how you feeling today?
Hey, I'm good. This is a great morning, great day. Just excited to be at this point in our careers.
Yeah,
and so
the journey.
And man, I'm just excited.
Yeah. So welcome. Rooted in Progress podcast, everybody welcome in. This is a culmination of a lot of hard work, a lot of planning, and this is the continuation. If you haven't heard those three words, Rooted in Progress, yet, this is a continuation of our Black History Month special, Rooted in Progress. But this is podcast form. So we're kind of taking away the TV version. We are bringing this to you in an online platform, and we want to... This is basically like people pulling up at the kitchen table, Terrence.
Ooh, yes.
You know what I mean?
Like
we want you to come, have a seat, join the conversation, ask questions, give us your comments, give us your feedback, because this is all about the progression of the Black community here in Tampa Bay. So we need your input. Ain't that right, Terrence?
That's right. And speaking of questions, let me ask you a question.
Oh.
How are you doing?
I am, honestly... I'm blessed and I am so grateful because I'm grateful and I'm proud. I'm proud because my background, for people who know my story, I came from a station that would have never allowed anything like this. I came from having management and bosses who were discriminatory. I went through a lot at my last station. So to be here doing this means more to me than anybody would ever know. To know where I've come from and what I've been through, even aside from being a journalist, just as a Black woman, as a young Black lady, I am so proud. I'm so proud and humbled to have a Rooted in Progress podcast. But I'm proud because when I got here to WFLA, I always had the support, but it was always just me.
Correct.
So to have you as a co-host and to have our team, it's not just us, y'all.
That's right.
We have an entire team, and we want to introduce you to the Rooted in Progress team. That's Naisha Harper. She's the boss. She's our executive producer, and she does not play. Kristen McKay, one of our producers, she helps with the content, with everything. You also saw one of our favorite people, Lola. She helps, she reaches out to all of our guests, make sure we're in line. She pretty much keeps us all in line. That was us prepping. JB Buno, everybody.
Hey, JB. Hey, JB.
He trained us. Stream life is different, right? It's completely different from TV. So...
the true mastermind behind all this setup, what you guys are looking at right now.
Yeah.
And for those that are listening in, it is a technical dream and a technical mastermind to put all this together. To, all the monitors and the buttons and all this. And this is new for me. But for JB, this is his brainchild. So, Megamind is what he's known for. So
absolutely. So yes, this is our team, y'all. It's not just myself. I know it's easy to recognize Deanne King from WFLA, but Terrence Middlebrooks, aside from this, you're a director here for Bloom. So he's stepping from behind the camera to in front of the camera.
Yes.
And our incredible team, Naisha, Lola, and Kristen, these episodes would not happen without them. So as you all listen, know that this is a team. Know that this is a team effort. Everything that we produce and put together for this podcast is a vision of our team. And so I am so proud to have each and every one of them a part of this. We got to talk about Rooted in Progress, right? The special. What we did with that, man, was the feedback was incredible. The feedback was incredible. The impact was incredible. What we did with Rooted in Progress was highlight a lot of issues that have been plaguing our Black community for so long. We talked about affordable housing or the lack thereof. We talked about getting access to capital, especially for minority business owners and aspiring business owners. We talked about forgotten Black histories. Forgotten Black cemeteries, because they're popping up everywhere, like literally rising from the dead. Why does this keep happening? And we were able to bring forth city leaders, city council members, county commissioners, state legislators, police chiefs, and bring them to the table and ask them about these problems. What are you going to do about it? That was Rooted in Progress. We're going to give you a little clip of what took place in February. With both Tampa City Councilman Louis Viera and NAACP President Yvette Lewis before me. You've asked for that board for a few years. Councilman Viera, do you have any comments on that?
Sure, and if you're speaking of the resolution board, I've had some private discussions with individuals. I obviously support that. I voted for the resolution and would be proud to support that in Tampa City Council.
1 week after taping Rooted in Progress,
I went on WFLA. It was a Black History interview. And I was asked about the Racial Reconciliation Committee, and I gave an answer to it, which was that I support it.
So that was an example, a little quick snippet of what we did with Rooted in Progress. And Terrence, I think you can speak to the fact that bringing up the Racial Reconciliation Committee, it was something that we didn't know where that conversation would go, but we got action.
Well, and I'm gonna backtrack a little bit of something that you said earlier about the fact of doing this at WFLA and how you would have never been allowed to do this at your previous jobs. And so I, too, was a little leery as to how far can we push the envelope. And I was blown away, even being a part of this from the ground, from the root of this progress.
Come on, plug.
Right, there you go. From the root of this progress, even being involved from the very beginning, I even had doubts of how far they, meaning the station, corporate, will allow us to push the envelope. And even directing the show, as well as even editing and looking at the final version, and the response that was received afterwards still gives me chills, and we're just blown away of the response, and just that show probably could have been a 2-hour show, if not a 5-episode series on your streaming channel. And so I'm just excited. I'm excited that we were allowed to even progress forward with some of these major topics. And again, I'm just going to plug the show and get you guys to constantly tune in. We want you to tune in each week. We'll have fun topics. We'll have light topics. We'll have some pretty hard topics that we're going to discuss. We want to make the uncomfortable situation and the uncomfortable topics comfortable.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
And again, hats off to WFLA for even allowing us to speak our voices. And our voices to be heard.
Right. The Black community, it's a marginalized community. That's nothing new, right? And so when we have conversations like, for example, about the Racial Reconciliation Committee, letting folks know what that was and what happened to that committee or what didn't happen, right? But then trying to do something about it. So we're going to continue talking about the progression. But that is why I'm so happy to have our first guest a part of the Rooted in Progress podcast to continue the conversation that we had. You just saw a quick clip about it, but I am happy to welcome Tampa City Councilman Louis Viera of District 7, who is one of our first guests on the Rooted in Progress podcast. How you feeling?
I'm good. I really thank you all for having me. It's a real pleasure. Thank you.
We appreciate you coming and doing this. And then, of course, we have NAACP, the Hillsborough chapter president, Miss Yvette Lewis. Miss Yvette, how you doing?
I am wonderful. Thank you for this beautiful opportunity.
Thank you both. I think the conversation that we originally had, like Terrence mentioned, it was a tough one, right? It was something that the Racial Reconciliation Committee, for folks who don't know, it was an initiative that was brought up in 2020. and Councilman Viera, one of the first things I had to ask you was, what happened? Like, how are we in 2024 and we passed something in 2020 and nothing was ever established? And in that moment, you said, I support this and I want to do something about it. Why was it important for you to then take it upon yourself to follow through with that?
Well, it's important because when you're presented with an issue like that in a forum like where we were at with President NAACP President Lewis, House Minority Leader Driscoll, and so many others in the audience, you have to have respect for that forum. You have to have respect for the issue before us. And when I was asked about it, I said, of course I support this, and I'm going to go forward. But that's what was so great about Rooted in Progress and what we see today, which is that you hold leaders accountable and you give us a chance to say, look, where do you stand on this issue? I gave you my position, and then I acted upon it after speaking to the community. So that's what's so powerful about the use of the proper use of media on issues like this.
Can you let people know when you did bring forth the topic to City Council, what were some of the first steps? What did you have to do to actually get this thing going again?
Sure. Well, first thing I did, because again, you have to have respect for the topic, is to talk about with community leaders, this is how I envision it. What do you think? So before even coming out with it, I made a lot of phone calls and I spoke to a lot of different people because you want to make sure that you have respect for the community and respect for the process. Then I brought it up to City Council. I don't remember if it was February or so of this year. And we started to talk about what it would look like, continue to talk to the community about it. And then we ultimately came up with a resolution that, 568 was an aspiration. And we came up with a resolution that gave that life after speaking to the community. And now the ball's going to be in the court of the board and then in City Council's in the mayor's court to see what we do with that. That's going to be the challenge.
Yeah, and for people who don't know, what ended up happening was we now have established a 13-member committee. How do you feel about that?
I think it's great. I think it's a great opportunity to talk about issues that have been issues that we've dealt with, but we can do better on, like affordable housing, economic development for left behind communities, and issues where we haven't even begun to touch the surface, like returning citizens. Where every year we have 750,000 Americans who leave the prison system within 3 years, 2/3 will reoffend. We have to do better on those issues. So I'm excited about it on issues of social justice that I care about that caused me to run for office.
Yeah. President Lewis, you've been a part of this initiative since its inception, 2020. So let's talk about, are you happy, or what are your feelings as it relates to the fact that we sat down and we talked, and I asked you, I said, okay, after Rooted in Progress, we're getting some movement. Were you proud of that step forward?
Yes, I was proud of the city for making that step forward. I was proud of the city for even putting together the resolution 568. But again, I could not celebrate because we are still going through so many different things in this city, and I see it. Part of the thing is I see stuff, but I don't feel it happen. And just people are just talking and just giving us lip service.
So what has to be done? Like, what can be done differently so you don't feel that way, so other people in our community don't feel that way?
Put your actions out there. Put the words out there. Just do it. Let's do it. But yet, the city of Tampa continue to move certain parts of the community forward, but other parts of the community are left stagnant and falling behind. And when we start asking questions or asking for things, just as simple as things, we can't get it. And they give us a million excuses on why we can't get the simplest things in our community.
So we now have we've established this 13 Racial Reconciliation Committee member or board. We could, that's fair to say, right, Councilman Viera, a board. And they're tasked with a pretty big task, right? They have to draft up a report, present that come February, right, about some of the disparities, some of the issues that they see within the Black community as it relates to certain topics. I know when we talked prior, you said you felt like those topics were good: affordable housing, returning citizens, the school to prison pipeline. You agreed with those topics. Is there anything additional that you that was missing?
Well, the city did address those topics. Those are really critical and important things to the African American community. But the one thing is, I'm still not understanding why there was a new resolution passed, Resolution 344, that really has no substance. It has no meaning. It has no teeth. It's just words on a piece of paper that is addressing or talking about our history. So I'm not understanding why the city of Tampa or city council had the need to create this whole new resolution. And it makes the community feel as though that the city is not taking this serious. And so this is where we're at. We still have a question mark over our head, and this question mark leaves us with blankness. You're just staring at something that's not there.
So we had Resolution 568 and Resolution 344. Councilman Viera, do we know why?
Sure.
There are two different ones?
And I'll tell you this, before I stepped into this space, I knew that you're gonna take political hits on this. But for me, I didn't run for office to be safe. I didn't run for office to avoid the hits. I ran for office to go into issues that I care about. You take a look at my history recently, bringing up Sulphur Springs, something that people aren't, 75% child poverty, talking about potentially a CRA, economic development in Sulphur Springs. A game-changing apprenticeship ordinance for the city of Tampa that I had to fight so very hard for. A lot of different housing issues, bringing back the Tenants' Bill of Rights, a civil rights bill for housing after city council killed it. So, this is consistent with a lot of the things that I've done before, but I knew that before stepping out, you're going to have questions. And guess what? You're going to take hits, but there's also going to be folks that go, hey, listen, city of Tampa, y'all got a bad history on these issues. So what's changed, right? All I can tell you is that for myself, and I believe for city council members, that when we go out on this issue, that we do so with great sincerity and knowing that we have to have trust on this issue. And I would say judge us by the things that we have done as Tampa City Council members. With regards to getting a new resolution, the old resolution, if you look at 568, it didn't create a committee. It supported the creation of a committee. Therefore, you needed a new resolution to do that. That's a matter of procedure, not substance. 568 talked about the aspirations. 344, after talking with the community, including tons of civil rights organizations, church organizations, civic groups, et cetera, about what the topics would be, that gave that life. So for me, that's a matter of procedure, not substance. I would challenge anyone to take a look at that resolution, which has some very, very, very strong language on our ugly, violent, torturous, racist history here in Tampa, here in Florida, and our present sense of injustice that we have, right, to see how we can do better. And please continue to let us know, because we want to do better as city council in the city of Tampa. That's why I did this. And again, I know that by sticking myself out there, people will question that.
Yeah.
But that's why we're elected officials. We can't play it safe. We got to go out there and try to stretch that single into a home run for justice.
Wow. So it feels like, or it sounds like, it came down to a matter of wording. Is that right? So was it that 568 was more of, okay, we support it, but there was no implementation? And you're saying the new resolution is implementation and how we do so?
Yes, ma'am. So to create a board, you need to have a resolution to create that board. That's simply, and there's been confusion on that, and I've tried to speak to people about that, which is to create a board, you need to have a new resolution. 568 didn't create that board. This new resolution does, with specific, because to create a board, you have to say, listen, we're going to talk about issues X, Y, and Z. You got to give that board direction. Otherwise, God, you're going to have the Tower of Babel. You don't want that. You want to have some sense of direction. So again, that was my attempt, with a unanimous vote from City Council, support from so many in the community, to try to give life to 568 and talking about those issues of racial injustice in the year 2024 in our Florida, and frankly, not to get political, Donald Trump's America, talking about these issues that are so poignant for us today.
Yeah. Does that help answer your question?
No, because this new one, 344, really is just words on a piece of paper. So does Resolution 568, does that go away because this one here?
May I?
Yeah, absolutely.
No, 568 supported the creation of a community board. 344 creates that community board. After talking to numerous civil rights organizations, you and I had discussions prior to this. I spoke with a good number of people who supported this. So again, that's kind of like, it's kind of like a different stage in the birth of something. So again, if I can...
So 568 still lives?
Well, of course. Yeah, no,
Okay.
that in no way repeals 568. Again, this is simple. Again, I know that by doing this, you're going to take, number one, political hits on it. You are. But number two, you're also going to have people that go, listen, we don't trust what the city's doing. It's my job to say, listen, I'm here from the city of Tampa, and I'm here to be in all sincerity and to try to, fight to do better. That's my attempt to do that. I understand the doubt, et cetera. What I say is, let's put it in the hands of this board, and God willing, and I do mean God willing, they can help us move forward on core issues that we've identified.
Does that help you out?
This resolution 344 doesn't even mention 568 in it. And so to me, this is just words on a piece of paper. And you did state, coming from the history of the city of Tampa, there's a lack of trust. And if it's not in writing, you're an attorney. If it's not in writing, it didn't happen. So it's not here. So to me, it erases it. And that's what the community is looking for. The African-American community is looking for someone who is going to pay attention to our needs and address our needs and attack what our needs are. And so, first of all, the city of Tampa should be embarrassed that they had to create this in order to do anything. The city of Tampa, the mayor, her administration should feel shamefaced, shameful, God, that they had to do this in the year of 2020, and we're still talking about it in the year of 2024. So we're going to move on from that.
What happens? Okay, so we have 13 members who are now tasked with hopefully bridging the gap, and hopefully bringing some resolutions to these issues that we continue to see plaguing the Black community. Even if you feel like these are words on paper, can we still see action from the 13 members? Is my question, right? So if we strip away the fact that, yes, we have, she has a document right here. Yes, we have words on paper, right? But now we have an actual established committee. Can we somehow have hope that action will come from that committee?
And I think my question is, what's next?
Yeah.
It looks good on paper. It looks good that, we have this committee, but what's next? What type of action are being taken place?
Yeah.
And may I?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's a good question. My office, working with my legislative assistant, since I'm the one that proposed this, I've been taking a lot of the work, day and day to do it. And again, like I said, when you propose something like this, that's why this was demanded by the community for 3 or 4 months. No one on city council brought this up.
You're right.
Because people go, you're going to own this issue, and all of the different attacks and questions and lack of trust, et cetera. So as a politician, it's probably the stupidest thing I could do, right? But as my mother's son, and as a Christian, and as an American, as a Floridian, and a Tampano, it's the best thing I could do. You know why? Because it helps us move forward on these issues. So to answer your question, in terms of where we go next, we're talking about getting a facilitator. So we're talking right now to facilitators because we need, at first I envisioned an attorney doing it pro bono. And I think it was Councilwoman Hurtak said, why don't we hire a facilitator? Again, great idea because we need some. So I'm talking to somebody today, and that's, I think, the last thing that we need for the board because we need to have a paid facilitator. We got a budget for that. So once that starts, we should be beginning hopefully soon. So again, these things take time in terms of, I won't get into it. Like when you pay for something in the city of Tampa, you sometimes have to do a bid for them. That takes time. In this instance, I don't think we will, but so yeah, there's procedural issues that can be such a pain. You need 8 people to screw in a light bulb sometimes.
Well, Council, we want to thank you for at least, and we're not wrapping here. I just want to thank you for at least stepping up and speaking out of creating this committee. So hats off to you for just taking the initiative.
My pleasure. Yeah.
And bringing this back to light.
Yeah. Ms. Lewis, so what do you want to see done, right? So I know your feelings, and we've heard that you feel like these are just words on paper, right? And with this committee, with bringing in a facilitator, what actions do you want to see next?
So, first of all, when it comes to the African American community, everything takes time. And we keep hearing, oh, give us time. We're working on it. Give us time. But when it comes to something that they want to do, when I say they, I mean the city of Tampa. When they want to do something, they push it and rush it and shove it through city council immediately with no problem. But when it comes to the African American community, it just moves at a snail's pace. And so, again, what I would like to see is substance on the piece of paper, and that they take actions immediately. We shouldn't have to continue to keep waiting for this. I am so sick and tired of the city of Tampa telling African American people what to eat when nobody is asking us. We know what we want. We know what we're looking for. But then when we address it, when we go down to city council every Thursday, nobody is saying anything. Or they say, give us time. We're working on it. Give us time. So when they put the words on paper, I would love for them to spell it out and just tell us exactly what you're looking for and everything. And how are they planning on implementing some of the things that we want to do? You can talk about that now. You can say, hey, soon as this committee is completed, we're going to start implementing these plans. We're going to start implementing all of this here. But to me, honestly, when you've been burned by this city, I was born and raised in the city of Tampa. I have not seen progress. I've seen roots, but I ain't seen no progress.
How do we get that progress? And I know how you feel when you say it comes to the Black community and it somehow take just a little bit longer, right? But we gotta start somewhere.
You have to have an administration that is serious about helping to uplift everyone. Everyone deserves an opportunity to be uplifted and to live in this city. This is the city, for God's sake, of Tampa Bay. Okay, you know, you got the Super Bowl, the Bucks, the Rays, the Lightning team. This is the city of Tampa Bay. Everyone has that opportunity, except for African American people. But I have to say this too, except for poor people, lower social economical people here in this city. City council should be shameful that they ride to city council. When you go down Nebraska Avenue, when you go down Florida Avenue, and you see so many homelessness people there, and you're not giving them an opportunity here. But let me tell you this. Let's bring it back to our neighborhood. This city tells us who can build houses in our neighborhood. This city tells us who can live in our neighborhood. This city tells us that more poor people attract more poor people. So where and how can we take this serious if it's not in writing? So if this city administration wants to do something, then they can do it immediately.
So with the resolution 344, you feel like more needs to be spelled out as it relates to what can be allowed from the committee, their actions? Can that happen, Councilman Viera?
So wait a minute. So this resolution is talking about forming the committee and how it is. So this is basically from the city. So what the city can say, this is what we're going to do as soon as XYZ has been presented to us. This is how we're going to handle this. This is how things are going to be implemented. These are the things. I don't see any of this. All of these whereas, they're good because they're talking about my history, and I love my history, but it doesn't give me no substance.
So, Councilman Viera, let's just be real. And I also think we talked about this during the Rooted in Progress podcast, that a lot of people and a lot of members in our community, they don't even know how the process goes to get something established, to create a law or to create a resolution, create a board, and all of these things. So here we have Resolution 344. Can things be added? Can things be taken away? Can you create a new resolution that maybe addresses and talks about the actual actions that the committee can bring forth?
Well, so, I mean, I would challenge anyone to say what else should be in that resolution. That resolution has everything after my talks, including with the NAACP, with the Urban League, with A. Brown Ministries, with Florida Rising, with numerous pastors, et cetera, et cetera. That's what came out. And we talked about it in city council. I went through it a couple of weeks ago for about 2.5 or 3 months, going through what the resolution was. So again, I say it again, that when you're in public office, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen, right? You're going to do something like this. You're going to encounter resistance. You're going to encounter the biggest thing that a politician gets is cynicism, whether it's cynicism from people that listen, this city's never done right by us. Why should we expect to do now? Or cynicism, oh, you're a politician. You're doing this for whatever reason, right?
With an agenda.
Yeah. So that obviously has 5 different areas that are highlighted with great specificity that we can move forward on, and it's up to the committee to talk about ideas. I'll give y'all one thing that I would love to see that I'm actually going to be proposing in city council, which is an office of returning citizens for the city of Tampa. Imagine that, an office under the city of Tampa government that is dedicated to making sure that all those men and women who are leaving the prison system, who only want to work hard to put food on the table for their families, something that committee is specifically delegated to do in terms of improving that issue, that we have an office dedicated to steer them to resources, steer them to returning citizens issues. Again, that's the heart of where this comes from. Yeah. And I'm not asking for people to stop with their cynicism. I'm not asking for people to stop questioning. I'm just telling folks that where I come from, it's a very sincere place.
Yeah.
That's it.
And we hear you on that. I'm so glad you brought this. You always be prepared. I'm going to let the people know. I'm going to read section 7, which actually spells out the functions of the committee. So it says the purpose and function of the committee shall be to review, study, and make recommendations to the city council and the city of Tampa with respect to the following 5 designated areas: affordable and accessible housing, economic development, empowerment and entrepreneurship, including training and apprenticeships, capital access and municipal contracting, opportunity for youth, ignored history and efforts to create a public discussion on same, and returning citizens / restoration of rights. These are the 5 areas of public policy that the committee is authorized to address and make formal recommendations to the city council and city of Tampa. One question, and because I have gotten feedback from people in the community about this, none of those say directly the Black community.
Sure.
How can we ensure when the board and when the committee brings forth issues as it relates to these, but it's only pertaining to the Black community, that it will be heard?
And may I see that?
Yeah.
Because I do want to point something out. So a couple of things with this. Number one, this is called a Racial Reconciliation Committee. This says, among other things, Tampa has made progress on issues of racial and social justice, but there's so many more miles to go, et cetera. We talk about the highest per capita rate of racial lynchings that occurred within a designated time within the state of Florida. We cite numerous Black leaders throughout our history. We talk about building bridges on better on racial justice issues. We talk about racial reconciliation, racial harmony, racial equality, racial justice, et cetera. Clearly, this is meant towards racial justice. The name of the committee is the Racial Reconciliation Committee. This is born out of discussions with civil rights and community leaders in the Black community. Right. So again, like I said, I'll say it again for the 4th time, which is when you step out on an issue like this, people will go, hey, what about this? What about this? What about this? Everybody who's talking about it today, I spoke with about it, including, exchanges, et cetera, about it many, many times before. Again,
what was y'all's conversation? Let's go ahead and put it out for the people.
Sure. Well, I called up Yvette Lewis and I said, hey, listen, what do you think about this? Do you think that these 5 areas are right? And you said?
I said, yeah, we need this, and and those areas are good. But you know what? I just realized, Deanna. Where?
No A.
No A.
Yeah, it's okay.
Well, I'm Southern.
I know you know me. It's okay.
I'm Southern. Y'all gonna get what you get. Okay. So my thing is, I'm looking at this, and where's criminal justice? Yep. Law enforcement. Because we all know the history of law enforcement and African-American people. We all know about biking while black, where the Department of Justice had to come in here. And we all know while renting while black, and the Department of Justice has been notified about the renting while black, and the NAACP threatened a lawsuit on them. So I don't see that piece in here. So when we talked, you just asked about these here. I had no idea you were creating a whole new resolution. And if I would have known, I would have told you that the city of Tampa needs to have a commitment. In one of these sections down here, the city of Tampa is committed to obeying and applying, or however legal word you want to put in there, to do it. Because again,
as in the recommendations that come from the committee.
That is correct. And so again, we have been given broken promises. So you quote Dr. Martin Luther King in here, okay? But the city of Tampa, I have said this before, have given African-American people an insufficient check that has been stamped and returned, okay? We don't have anything. And I'm sick and tired of waiting on progress, or waiting. It takes time, and waiting and waiting and waiting, and we get nothing but broken promises from this city. They are gentrifying our community. They have dedicated to build a $4 million park in the heart of our community when there are houses need rehab, and y'all have not completed a rehab program for the city of Tampa. Nope, in our community. And these are our CRA dollars. But when you wanted to build a police department, you took our CRA dollars and built that police department immediately. When you wanted to purchase land, you took our CRA dollars and purchased that land. So see, don't sit here and tell me that it takes time and you can't do it, or we working on it, because when you want to do it, you can do it. And let me be clear, Councilman. You just getting it because you're here in front of me.
Yeah.
This is for city administration. This is for all of City Council. So one, I want to thank you for being able to sit here and endure it, because I'm going to give it to you.
Clearly. Here, I want to digest this and give a breakdown, because the first thing that you addressed was criminal justice.
Yep.
Was that a topic at all?
So again, these are the topics that came out from discussion. If you look at that, we talk about restoration of rights. We talk about the returning citizens issue, which does deal with criminal justice. Criminal justice reform is a huge issue in our United States and the state of Florida. I actually, about a year and a half ago, working with Florida Rights Restoration, working with different organizations, we passed the first in a really long time a returning citizens ordinance, which gave contractors incentives to ban the box, incentives to hire more returning citizens, and created a county and city returning citizens, I think it was $400,000 job training program, building on the apprenticeship ordinance that I helped pass in Tampa City Council. So again, these are issues that I think we can do so much better on, right? That we need to do better on. And listen, by the way, look, that's why I'm here. That's why I show up at meetings. That's why I've had about 75 or 80 town halls over the last 7 or 8 years that I've been in Tampa City Council, because you take heat, but you want to learn. I tell you all this, had I not been on your show, I would have probably eventually motioned for this committee because I believe in it, but it would have probably taken me another month.
Yeah.
By showing up, you do better because you listen.
And I think that's why, for one, in the comments, give some credit to Councilman Viera for sure, for showing up. Ms. Lewis did so herself, for showing up and for not even attempting, but for doing. You know what I mean? Because it does take a lot to step in front of an issue, particularly, and I will say this, a racial issue, and take that on with a community, like Ms. Lewis says, has no trust with that. You know what I mean? Like, there are trust issues. That's what the young folks say. We got trust issues. There are trust issues involved. So for taking on and spearheading this initiative, we can do nothing but commend you for
Sure,
and thank you for. And what I feel like I hear is, again, it's a step, but let's make sure it's a continued step in the right direction. And so I am curious to know, you sitting here and hearing his thoughts, hearing the work that he did to put in to this resolution and the committee, how are you going to challenge the 13 committee members to now do the work?
So the NAACP has a representative there. So I will be attending some of the meetings and just sitting out there and watching and putting it out there. We will continue to engage the community on what this is about, and definitely holding this city accountable for what they said they were going to do and what they need to do. And action needs to take place.
Yeah. And I think now, Councilman Viera, you said it best when we did a follow-up interview on this story. We have this committee. They can come up with the report, have all these action items, but it's still in the hands of city officials and city government. How are you working with your colleagues and your counterparts for when issues are brought forth, right, in February, when they say and give that full report and say, we recommend this, XYZ, elemental P, how do you make sure you and your counterparts then say, we're going to fulfill the needs of the Black community?
Yeah. So that, again, the buck's going to stop with us on those issues, and the mayor in the city of Tampa. And again, that's the big issue. Again, I knew that, stepping out on this issue, there's always political risk. But why be in office to play it safe, especially on an issue like this? If you believe in something and if it comes from your heart, and there is something, again, I want to mention, which is the stuff that the issues that President Lewis talks about. I mean, a lot of folks don't know that, the Kerner Commission report mentioned Tampa. It had a whole section on Tampa, on Martin Chambers. I mean, again, so that level of distrust, I get as much as a person in my position can, and I continue to show up to try to get it and to try to do better. My big political hero has always been Senator Bobby Kennedy, not Bobby Kennedy Jr., Senator Bobby Kennedy. And he always said that we can do better. And that's it. We have to learn how to do better. Yeah. And that's why I'm here, is to just, in all sincerity, just try to do better. Yeah.
Wow. Is there, do you have any reservations?
What do you mean in terms
from other city council members actually coming together and making sure things happen?
Well, we can't talk outside of city council about city issues, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, look, it's obviously a politically caustic topic, and it's to be used with, again, care and respect, et cetera. But again, it's just the way it is. We deal with topics like that, and again, that's being in part in public office. If you're going to be missing the stuff that's gonna leave a mark, so to speak, then don't be in office.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, you're right. Because I mean, I got a little hot in here myself, and you're the one who actually has to sit up there during city council. I want to thank both of y'all because I think, again, with this podcast, we want to continue the conversation. And like you said, the buck stops with y'all. So we have to continue to check in. You've heard reservations. President Lewis is someone who not just speaks for herself. She is the president of the NAACP. She is in the community talking to people. You've grown up here. You were raised here. And a lot of your... And not to say that I'm speaking for you, but letting people in the community, our viewers, know her reservations aren't just personal. They speak for a community. They speak for an organization. They speak from personal experience. They speak from probably her neighbors in the neighborhood and things like that. So to hear those reservations and to provide solutions, I guess my final question to the both of you is, what happens next, and what is our solution to make sure we continue to move forward with making great progress with the Racial Reconciliation Committee?
So first of all, Councilman, again, thank you. But one thing you kept saying, you're making political decisions, and it could be politically. So it should be a given. You shouldn't even think about it politically. And if anyone that sits on that dais is up there with you is thinking about this politically, shame on them. Shame on them. And because when South Tampa goes there and they advocate, y'all respond to it. Downtown, Channelside, you respond to it. But when East Tampa comes out there and we say something, we have to constantly keep saying over and over again. And then some of y'all sit up there and y'all tear us down after we leave our 3 minutes at the mic. So the political decisions, it's a human decision. So that's where you need to come on that diocese, and you need to challenge them. This is not politically. This is humanly right on how to treat people, fair, equitable, equal, all of this here, okay? And if they don't want to do it, then maybe the voters need to make some decisions. And you need to take this back to city administration, the chief of staff, John Bennett, the mayor of the city of Tampa, Jane Castor. Take it back to them. There should be no political thing about this. We have endured enough in this city.
Well, thank you, Ms. Lewis. Councilman Viera, your solution?
Yes, ma'am. And again, when I talk about the political response, I'm not talking about us being political. I'm talking about the response in the community from folks on it, which again, it's something you want to take into consideration and be as respectful and listening to as much as you can. Again, all I can do is stand on my record. And you look at the things that I've done in Tampa City Council with our Tampa City Council, dedicating 30% of CRA funds, which a lot of council members, Dingfelder, Carlson, and others, former Councilman Goods, others, led the way on that to affordable housing from the CRA. So many different issues that we work on. I think that we want to continue to move forward on this issue. The whole thing is, again, the buck's going to stop with us. Right. And like I said, when you're in public office, you're going to take hits. Might as well be hits for things that you believe in, right? Mm-hmm. The issues that are addressed in that resolution after talking with the community are things that I'm very passionate about and things that I've worked on in the past and things that, God willing, we can make great movement on in the future.
We're going to keep an eye on this for sure, everybody. The racial reconciliation, they will have a committee report come February. And so we'll be checking in on our podcast with committee members, getting word and finding out what's happening in these meetings to make sure that progress is happening, because that's what we're here for, right? Mm-hmm. And that right, Terrence?
That's right. And with Councilman Viera said the best, the buck stop here. That's a heavy statement. That's a heavy statement because you know Miss Yvette here is going to make sure that you live up to your words. So as long as we got these two in the house and they're gonna constantly keep pushing the button, I think we're gonna have a show.
We're gonna have a show.
Hey, push come to shove. If we don't have anything else to talk about, we know two people that we can call on.
Who's gonna keep this thing going? And while we're here, it's Juneteenth. This is a day where we're able to honor, educate, celebrate about Juneteenth. We created a little show for y'all, a little game.
That's great.
Y'all ready? Mm-hmm. Are y'all gonna answer the questions truthfully?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is basically get to know your local officials, and we are just gonna. It's 3 questions. I have them here, and it's about personal. I don't want President Lewis. I want Yvette. Okay. I don't want Councilman Louis Viera. I want Louis. I want Louis. Okay. I want to know, what do y'all do outside of work?
Oh yeah.
What's your favorite pastime? How people in the community, they see y'all and they're like, oh, they're the councilman. Oh, there's the president. What do y'all do when you really just want to chill and hang out and have fun?
Is that
either one? Jump at me.
So me, I love studying and watching African-American history.
Come on.
That's
what you do in your free time?
Yes, I am a big fan of Fannie Lou Hamer, Harriet Tubman. I love watching it and studying it. And then also, too, my church is very important. And I go visit the sick and shut-in, older people, and just sitting there having a conversation with them and listening to them tell me stories about what happened then, because now I know my history and now I know what I need to do to move it forward. Okay. So history don't repeat itself. So those are some of the things that I love doing.
Okay. Miss Yvette, I'm not gonna live with that. When that
we need to go deeper?
Yeah, when that NAACP shirt come off, Miss Yvette, what's Miss Yvette like to do? Do you like video games? Do you like fishing.
I believe that.
So again, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't hang out, I don't do any of that. And everybody will tell you. And I definitely don't do social media. So they all will tell you that is her. I don't even go to the movies. Don't even go to restaurants.
We're not shopping.
I hate shopping. All my friends will tell you that. I am not a shopping
person.
Do
you garden? Do you garden?
She would cook. Can I come over and eat?
Yeah, I love working in the yard and
Okay.
fixing things and stuff like that.
There we go. Come on, Terrence.
My biggest passion is the books and reading it.
That's great. That's great.
All right, let's check it with Councilman Viera. No, Louis.
So yeah. So I mean,
okay, Louis Viera.
Do we have permission? We have permission.
Yeah,
okay,
I'm not the Pope.
Louis.
Yeah. So it's funny that some of the stuff that Yvette said with history, I'm a big history nerd. I mean, like I was saying, I had to go to Houston, Texas for a lawyer thing I had to go to, and I drove about an hour and a half to Galveston about a month ago for the first Juneteenth, the side of the first Juneteenth, which was, I mean, I've taken trips to all throughout Mississippi with my son, Alabama, Virginia. I love that stuff.
He does.
So,
I do know that for Terrence. I know that for a fact.
Wow.
I'm a history nerd.
Yeah.
Like, trust me, I'm a big history nerd. But I mean, really, family for me is the most important thing. My wife, Colleen, I love her to death, love hanging out with her. I call my mom every day.
Every day.
Every dang day. I love my mom. I mean,
Mama's
my mom.
boy.
Damn right. I love my mom. Listen, my mom, best mom ever. My family, talk to my brother Tony almost like 2 or 3 times a week, but my brother Juan, etc. But my biggest thing is always my son. My son Louis, who's 17. I'm going to pick him up in a little bit. We go out to movies. You have to kick his butt sometimes, but we hang out. I mean, for me, like my son is everything to me.
That's
great. Yeah,
that is
great.
so sweet. That brings up the next question. He said his wife.
Yes.
What's your favorite date night?
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. So you know what's sad is what we usually do is Uber Eats, which is awful. I've gained like 20 pounds over that. I swear to God. So like, listen, I do Uber Eats, which is so one of the things we do is we get like seafood or whatever, which is not safe to do on Uber Eats, but whatever, but we'll eat that at home, but just hang out. I mean, we're kind of homebodies. I'm like, kind of like Yvette said, like, I don't drink.
Yeah.
Not because I'm against, I'm just not a drinker.
Oh.
I don't smoke. Now I do a lot of concerts. I got a lot of, I
love concerts
I
too.
love concerts. I love, so Yvette, you're going to like this. So you know who I went with to see Snoop Dogg 6 months ago? Joe Probasco.
Really?
Isn't that sad?
But you're gonna like this.
Yeah.
I don't even go see Snoop Dogg. I go to country
Missy
music.
Yvette, I thought
you go where?
country
I was at
I love
Kenny
country.
Chesney and loved every minute
get
of it,
outta
baby.
here.
Oh my God.
See, Miss Yvette.
Yes.
I knew there was a person behind that yellow shirt.
You got it.
A real person,
I
a
am a
human
big
being.
We
fan
have Louis
of
at Snoop
country.
Dogg and Yvette and who?
Country.
Oh my
Honey,
goodness.
Kenny
Kenny
Chesney.
Chesney or not?
Yes.
And she
Chestnut?
knows,
Luke Combs,
but she knows Joe
everybody.
Probasco. We're the
Yes.
two lamest, folks out there. So yeah, but I love
This is
concerts.
so
I'm seeing
funny.
the Menzingers on Sunday night. My son and I were seeing Ace Frehley from Kiss, Deep Purple, Sammy Hagar.
Did y'all go to Meg the Stallion?
Yeah, the what?
Megan the Stallion?
What's that? No, I don't know. I'm out of it.
That's a little too rooted.
After
rooted in
Run DMC, I dropped out.
Okay, you dropped down.
Def
Okay. Now
This is great.
Y'all are married.
Yeah.
Terrence,
Yes.
Terrence and Louis.
Yes.
We single?
Yeah.
We real single. We real single over here. So dating? Are you dating? Can I ask that?
Oh no.
Lou?
I mean, you can ask it, but I'm not dating anyone because I just they got to run and catch up with me, baby.
Period.
I don't have time. They got to run and
Period.
catch up with me.
I'm gonna say that moving forward.
Yes.
You gotta run and catch me. That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
And hopefully the man comes after that.
This
So
is great, guys.
the last question I want to ask: a favorite vacation spot, and when you vacay, do you turn your phones off? Do you? Well, you don't have social media, but do you turn your phones off? Do you not answer if a Deanne King calls? You send her the voicemail. Where's your favorite vacay spot, and how do you vacay?
You want me to go?
Yeah.
So mine are really lame, and I always get bashed for this. But I go to like history spots. So like I went to
got the two
Virginia.
history
We went to Monticello. We went to Charlottesville to see Charlottesville and where Heather
Yeah.
Heyer was murdered. some people call me somber. So no, I do that. I mean, if I had my way, I'd love to go to Cuba. We're from Cuba originally. I've been there one time. I would love to go. I went very briefly in 2018. I would love to go back.
I recommend it.
I'd love to go to Auschwitz. That's me.
Okay.
I love, my favorite vacation I've probably ever taken, and this really isn't one, is when my son and I went to Mississippi, and we went to Rouville to see Fannie Lou Hamer, her final resting spot, the Mississippi, the Delta, where Parchman Prison is, Medgar Evers' home, money for Emmett Till. Like,
Don't ask me about my favorite vacation.
I love
I'm a
history vacations.
badass.
I'm a proud nerd. I'm a proud
Okay,
nerd.
come on. Shout out to
Mr.
all
Lewis.
the nerds out there.
Well, Mr. Lewis, please tell me one thing that you do leave your tie at home during vacation.
Oh, listen,
you do not put on the
Okay.
councilman hat.
I'm a t-shirt guy.
There you go.
No, I
Okay.
chill.
Okay.
And if I don't shave for 2 days, it's like, woo, So, yes.
Yvette, where are you vacationing?
So I do love my history and going to study my history. But the thing is, so my mother is from North Carolina. My father's from South Carolina. So I go back and visit my family in North Carolina.
Okay.
And just have peace. And so it's deep up in the woods.
Oh.
So you barely get a cell service. So I am
Okay.
so excited about that.
So you put the phone away.
Yeah,
so you don't
disconnect
have no
from
choice.
society.
That's
Yes.
it. Yeah. But
Okay.
I don't, so I'm not tied to my phone.
Yeah.
I really am not. So like on Sundays, everybody knows, don't call me on Sundays.
Yeah.
good.
That's my day.
Good.
Noted.
That's between me and the Lord.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's so important.
So
Yeah.
And so like I said, I just go home and visit family and just dress down and look at the woods, the fields.
Yeah.
It's just so
Yeah.
peaceful because those people live without any stress, any worries, or anything. Yeah.
Wow.
That's so true, Miss Yvette, because I
Yeah.
moved here a couple years ago from Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up in the country, rural small town outside of Chattanooga. Shout out to Chattanooga there. And so, and just as growing up, it was so boring, and just knew that I wanted to get out. Lived in a couple big cities. Moved here to Tampa, like I said, 4 years ago. And when I go back home, it is so peaceful.
Yeah.
It is
Wow.
actually just, it does something to me as soon as I see that first mountain going up 75 and just, seeing all the green trees and realize how much I really miss that. But I love the warm weather. I love the beaches here. So
I was going to say it must be Tallahassee because I don't have them thoughts when I come up in Tallahassee. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm happy I'm not in Tallahassee. I love home. The few family that I still have in Tallahassee, I obviously love them to death. But like, it's one of those things, I'm proud to see the growth, but then I'm also like proud. I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm glad I
It's
got out of there.
all
Yeah.
these things, the cell phones are the most unnatural, ungodly things. I mean, I use them. I got them right there.
Yeah.
But what Yvette said is so right. You got to turn it off and just enjoy
And have that moment.
I believe there's a God. I believe we're created by God, and I don't believe we were meant to be like this all day.
Yeah. You're right.
That's awful.
You're
Yeah,
right.
it's awful.
Put the phones down.
Yep.
Go out and enjoy your Juneteenth. There's so many ways that you can celebrate Juneteenth. Emancipation Day, you can support a Black-owned business, whether that be a restaurant. Councilman Gwen Henderson, shout out to her. She has a bookstore. Go out and support someone. Go out to an event. There are so many events happening today to celebrate and honor this Juneteenth. But this was so special. Thank y'all so much for
I had
being
a great
here.
time. I had a wonderful time.
Y'all had
Thank
a good.
you.
Did you really?
Heck yeah, no. I give high fives when I have a good
Here
time.
we go.
I do high fives.
Yes.
There we go. I'm from the 80s. I'm a high five guy. Can't help it.
Well, we appreciate both of you. Again, we are going to keep our finger on the pulse, and we're going to make sure we do our due diligence and make sure we continue having tough conversations, y'all. But again, it feels like home. It feels like we're just sitting around at the kitchen table. We want y'all to be a part of that conversation. If you want to hear about a certain topic or see a certain guest, and let me, Terrence, you mentioned this earlier. Every topic is not going to be super heavy. Right. We have celebrities coming on soon. We have a lot of staple figures in our community who are nothing but fun and a good time. Right. And we're going to talk about something like the cookout. We're going to be talking about the cookout, what you bring to the cookout, what you shouldn't bring to the cookout. This is just a platform where we want to continue to talk about the progress within the Black community here in Tampa Bay, hold people accountable, but we also want to just share goodness within our community. We want to bring that a comedic relief as well, because y'all know I could be a time. So we're going to have a time on the show. Terrence, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I just also want to let everyone know that we will do this weekly.
Weekly, baby.
Thursdays, 11 a.m.
Yes.
You can check us out on WFLA.com. If you don't have the WFLA app, which you should because of weather, you know how weather here.
All the things.
Facebook, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, all your streaming platforms. Check us out. Thursdays at 11. You get the two of us.
You get the two of us every Thursday. Thursdays at 11 from here on out. We are so excited about this. So we'll see y'all then. Happy Juneteenth, everybody.
Happy Juneteenth, and God bless you guys. Take care.
God bless you.
Thank you.